I've been thinking a lot about the difference between validating someone's feelings and agreeing with their behavior. For a long time, I treated those two things as the same. Learning how to honor someone's pain without honoring their choices didn't come naturally to me. And it cost me more than I realized. Caribbean coded, rewriting the old coding that shaped me. For a long time, validation meant safety for me. It wasn't something I questioned. It was something I used. Back then, validating something didn't just mean I understood them. It meant staying so the connection remained intact and making sure I didn't rock the boat. So I said yes to things that didn't sit right in my body. Not because I agreed, but because agreement felt like the price of belonging. So if I nodded along, if I softened my reactions, and if I made myself smaller or more understandable, I believed I could keep the relationship steady. I believed that was what love looked like. Validation to me meant keeping the peace. I didn't see it as dishonesty at the time. I saw it as maturity. I told myself I was being empathetic, open-minded, and evolved. I thought being understanding meant absorbing discomfort quietly, even when my body was signaling something was off. What I didn't realize was that I was agreeing with things I didn't believe in. Not out loud, but energetically. I was aligning myself with situations and behaviors that didn't match my values, simply because I was afraid of what might happen if I didn't. And if I'm honest, what I was afraid of wasn't dramatic. It wasn't always abandonment. Sometimes it was just tension, disappointment, being misunderstood, or being seen as difficult. I was afraid that saying no would cost me connection, that disagreeing would turn me into the problem, and that putting a boundary up would mean losing my place. So I validated everything, even when I didn't agree or it felt uneasy. My silence slowly required me to disappear a little. Back then, I thought validation was kindness. I didn't yet understand how often it was self-abandonment. So confusing validation with agreement didn't just affect my relationship. It affected me as well. Quietly over time, it started to show up in my body, in my sense of safety, and in the way I trusted my own voice. Every time I validated something that didn't sit right with me, I felt it in my body. A tension I couldn't explain. My chest got tight. A discomfort I learned to ignore because it seemed easier than addressing it. And I told myself it wasn't a big deal. But my body knew otherwise. It also blurred my sense of safety. Not in obvious ways, but in subtle ones. I stayed in spaces that felt off because I didn't want to create distance. I tolerated dynamics that required me to stay alert instead of relaxed. And I also convinced myself I was being flexible when really I was just getting used to being uncomfortable. Over time, my voice softened in places where I should have been very clear. I second-guessed myself all the time. I questioned whether my reactions were too much or if I was being unfair for even having them. So the more I validated externally, the less I trusted internally. And my boundaries became harder to recognize. Not because I didn't have them, but because I kept negotiating them away. I treated my discomfort like something to manage instead of something to listen to. My compassion started to blur into self-abandonment. And I didn't realize how often I was choosing others over myself just to keep things smooth. The cost wasn't dramatic. It didn't explode all at once. It accumulated. It showed up as exhaustion, as confusion, and as a quiet resentment I didn't know what to do with. And eventually it showed up as loss of clarity about what I felt, needed, and where I actually stood. That's when I realized this wasn't about being kind or understanding. It was about how much of myself I was willing to give up to avoid conflict. So my shift didn't come from one big moment. It came from noticing the same feeling showing up again and again. That quiet pause in my body where something felt off, even when my words said I understood. That's when it started to hit me. Validation and agreement aren't the same thing. I just was treating them like they were. I could understand why someone felt the way they did and still feel myself pull back inside. I could listen, empathize, and even care. And at the same time, I know I didn't stand with what was happening. That realization felt uncomfortable at first. But I wasn't used to separating these two things. What I also started to notice was how often my silence had become participation. I wasn't actively agreeing out loud, but I wasn't interrupting the pattern either. I stayed quiet, stayed present, stayed understanding. And in doing that, I was still part of it. That's where empathy quietly turned into endurance. I wasn't choosing it consciously. I was tolerating things because I didn't want to be the one who made it awkward or tense or even complicated. I thought that staying calm and understanding meant I was doing the right thing. But my body kept on responding like it knew better. The real shift was realizing I could understand someone completely without standing beside your choices. I didn't have to argue with them. I didn't have to over-explain. I didn't have to convince anyone of anything. I just had to be honest with myself about where I stood. And once I saw that, I couldn't unsee it. And that's when things started to change. Not dramatically, but very clearly. Where I am now, validation looks very different. I can acknowledge someone's feelings without taking responsibilities for their behavior. I can listen without aligning myself with choices that don't feel right to me. And I don't confuse understanding with endorsements anymore. For me, agreeing or agreement stops where my body says no or hell no. That doesn't mean I stop caring. It means I stop negotiating myself. If something keeps crossing my boundaries, I don't keep explaining why it hurts anymore. I pay attention to the patterns instead. Boundaries change my relationships. Not because they push people away, which some did, but because they showed me people's true colors and intentions. Some connections adjusted, some didn't. And I had to accept that clarity doesn't always come with comfort. Now, when behavior doesn't change, I do. I don't argue my way into being respected. I don't stay to prove a point. And I don't keep validating something just because I understand where it comes from. Understanding doesn't require me to stay in situations that feel unsafe, misaligned, or draining. This isn't about being cold or distant. It's about being honest with myself first. And once I started doing that, I stopped needing to explain my boundaries for them to be real. I'm still practicing how to hold compassion without slipping into compliance. That part doesn't come automatically for me yet. I can feel empathy rise quickly. That hasn't changed. What's changing is what I do with it. I'm learning that compassion doesn't require me to override my own limits or explain myself into exhaustion. I can care and still say no. I can understand and still step back. Staying present without erasing myself is another one I'm working through. There are moments where it feels easier to soften my reactions, keep things light, or let things slide just to avoid tension. I notice that urge now. I don't always get it right, but I pause instead of disappearing. I'm also practicing choosing clarity over comfort. Comfort used to mean smoothing things over, making sure no one felt upset with me. Clarity feels different. It feels steadier, quieter, and sometimes uncomfortable. Especially when it means letting people sit with their disappointment instead of rescuing them from it. That part is still new. I'm learning that I don't have to manage other people's reaction to stay connected. I don't have to over-explain my boundaries for them to be valid. And I don't have to stay in situations that keep asking me to compromise myself just to prove I'm understanding. This isn't about having it all figured out. It's about noticing when old patterns try to come back online and choosing differently when I can't. Some days I do that well, some days I don't. But I'm more honest with myself now than I used to be. And that alone has changed the way I move through my relationships. I'm still practicing, and I'm okay being here. So before I close this out, I want to leave you with something to simply notice, not to fix or to answer right away. So where in your life are you validating something just to stay safe? And where might you be agreeing with it? Not because it feels right, but because discomfort feels harder. If something comes up, please don't judge yourself for it. This isn't about being hard on yourself. It's about listening. That moment of noticing is often the first shift. The place where old coding starts to become visible and where recoding can begin. You don't have to change anything today. Just noticing how your body responds is already part of rewriting the code. So thank you for sitting with me today. Be gentle with what rises after this. Your body holds its own memory. Trust it. Until next time, this is Caribbean Coded, where we recode the stories I once survived into truths I can finally live in.